Hello, students. Welcome to my classroom. This is Mr. Phillips, and today we are at a new week of distance learning. Week 4 to be exact. There's some things that we should talk about, mainly your assignments for this week. So I hope you had a great weekend. Hopefully you've got everything kind of finished up with English that you need to. I'll review everything that's due today, and I will go over everything that we have to do for your new week. All right? It's hard to believe it's already been like a month of being away from actual school. You know, it's a little longer time-wise than a month, I guess, if you count spring break and the week that we haven't done anything. So technically, this is what, week 6 away from school since we've been there. It is pretty wild to know that for sure. However, I'm glad to see you. Let's go ahead and talk about what your job is this week. But real quick, before I do, I pulled my microphone. Usually it's hanging here. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but usually it's hanging right there. It's off screen. But as you might have noticed, I was reading our new books, and I put a link to like an MP3 file right in the Google Classroom assignment. So just in case you would rather listen, or listen as you follow along, just as if you were in class. Now, normally in class, I wouldn't read the whole chapter out. But since, we're gone, I thought I might try this out. So let me know in the comments, either on YouTube or on the Google Classroom, if you think that that's a good idea, if you like it, if you have suggestions or ideas, please leave it in the comments so that I, can take a look at those. I think it's going to be good. We will see how long it lasts. I think the first one for my 10th grade was about 30 minutes. Chapter 1 for Animal Farm for my 9th grade was about 15 minutes or so. And I still have to record chapters 2 and 3. But it should be good. I'm hoping you like it. Like I said, let me know what you think. Leave a comment, and we'll figure that out as we go along. But week 4, let's start off with the 10th graders because they are a little easier to discuss. We'll talk about the 10th graders to start things out today. So let me go over to the 10th grade screen. Here we go. So we're in the 10th grade distance learning classroom. Oh, interesting. And I have a couple of things for you. First one is always, I'll just keep posting the live videos onto the stream. But your classwork is where you're going to see the week 4 assignments. Now, if you go over here, upcoming, and you click view all, that's kind of your to-do list. I know that's what a lot of people see mostly. You'll see that there. But as far as you guys go, click on the classwork, go to week 4. You can even click here if you want. And you will see your new material, your week 4 lesson plan. Let's kind of take a look at that together. And it says student week 3 lesson plan. I forgot to change that. There we go. Week 4. Now it's better. All right. So your weekly objectives are to finish your chivalry argument project. That is due today, April 20th, before midnight. So before the 21st hits, that should be turned in if you can. That kind of is bleeding over from last week. I've started to bleed over the assignments from just all due on Friday. I want to give you guys a full week. That seems to work best for everybody. Then your second weekly objective is to begin reading Of Mice and Men, and always join a live stream, schedule an appointment if needed. Here is your standard. It's actually the same standard for both classes. As you notice, the 9th and 10th grade literacy standards are the same. And so the standard for you guys is determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in the text, including figurative and cognitive meanings. Analyze the cumulative impact of specific word choices on meaning and tone. And as you'll see down here in the assignments, read chapter 1 of Mice and Men. That's due next week. And then how I'm kind of checking to see if and how well you read it is this chapter word choice and tone assignment, which is due Monday the 27th at 11:59 p.m. So I'm coming over here to this assignment, and you could do that too. All this is the PDF. You can click the PDF just like this, and you'll see it has the chapters there. Since we're not going back to school to hand out books for you guys, we're just going to go online. And then here's the audio here. See if you can hear like Mice and Men. There it is. By John Steinbeck. There you go. So if you want to listen to it, you can pull that up on a different tab and kind of read as you go. But this is what we want to take a look at, the chapter word choice and tone. So click here. Your instructions are highlighted in green as always. It says, step 1. This week we are going to begin reading of Mice and Men. To do so, use the PDF attached to the assignment. Read chapter 1 of Mice and Men. That's all I'm asking you to do, English 10, is read chapter 1. As you read, fill out the tables below. There will be one for each chapter, all right? It works like this. Fill out the table by following the directions in each column. So you've got chapter 1, phrase 1, phrase 2, and phrase 3. I'm asking you to first pick a phrase from the chapter that you think is important to the meaning of the chapter and the tone of the chapter. So I gave you one example, just so you can kind of see what I want you to do. So I pulled the very first quote as if that was the most important sentence. It's, you could argue it is, but don't use what I used already. It says, a few miles south of Soledad, the Salinas River drops in close to the hillside band and runs deep and green. The water is warm too, for it has slipped twinkling over the yellow sands in the sunlight before reaching the narrow pool. And that's all you do for that first box, is pick a phrase. So you'd write in your phrase 1, 2, and 3 below. Analyze is in the second box right here. Analyze what you think the phrase means in importance to the chapter. So I've not just listing it, I've asked you to kind of analyze it a little bit. So I said, as an example, this sets the setting of the story with warmth and tranquility in the landscape. The reader is transported to a seemingly peaceful river and a pleasant beginning to the book. So you don't have to, be so long, right? But explain why you chose the phrase and why it's important. Then I want you to write and explain the tone of each phrase using academic tone words, or just one, from the following list. So you would click on this link, and it would take you to a list of tone words that I've chosen for you guys. And then you can also choose your own academic tone words. I would make a note if you did an academic or a non-academic tone word. But, you could basically argue anything's academic if it sounds good enough. So you want to say something like, the tone is relaxed because I experience the river as a happy, peaceful place that I would want to go to be at peace. That's all you need to do. So I want you to find 3 different phrases. Try to find 3 different tones, or maybe they're complementary, but don't just say like relaxed, relaxed, relaxed. Unless, of course, you find 3 totally different phrases. Just make sure you have like one from the beginning of the chapter, one from the middle, maybe one from the end, so you're not kind of giving a chapter bias just of where you are. Once all those tables are filled in, turn in the document, and you're done for the week. Make sure your work is not highlighted. That's why I have your directions not highlighted here. All right. So for my English 10, that is all I'm asking you to do, and you'd be done there. Let's move over to my English 9 class and see together what exactly they have today. I'm going to move this camera a little over this way. It's kind of bugging me a little bit. There we go. Much better. Okay. So same kind of thing here for my 9th grade class. You click over to Classwork. Here's your lesson plan, your student week 4 lesson plan. And it's very, very similar, only instead of beginning to read Of Mice and Men, you're going to begin reading Animal Farm. So the same standard exactly. We're looking for tone and words and phrases in the text. And you also have this Animal Farm introduction narrative writing assignment that is due tonight. When I'm done with this, I'll read another one of our fantastic stories that some of you have written for this class, and that is due tonight also. So I just got a little notification there. We will talk about that in a second. But once you click that and once you turn that in, your job, 9th grade, is to read 1 to 3 chapters of Animal Farm. That is going to be due Monday, not 1 to 3. So read chapters 1, 2, and 3, basically. That meant to say 1 through 3, okay, of Animal Farm, due Monday, April 27th at 11:59 p.m. And the same thing you have is this chapter, word choice, and tone assignment, which is due Monday, the 27th. So let's take a look at those, or basically at this here. So if you go down to read chapters 1 through 3, same thing. I've got a PDF for you right there. And if you scroll down, you've got chapters 1 through 3 right here. Okay, so you might have to scroll down for chapter 3. But the chapters are definitely shorter than in of Mice and Men. This would have been like one chapter of Mice and Men. So the chapters are a little bit shorter. But like I said, I'm also going to have the audio available for you. So I've already have chapter 1 done. Animal Farm by George Orwell. So I've got that, but I will add chapter 2, maybe also chapter 3 tomorrow morning. That's on my list to do in the morning tomorrow, which is partially the reason why I have the mic up here still. So it'll be like this until we're kind of done with reading our reading tasks. Anyways, so let's go to your main assignment, ninth grade, which is your chapter, word choice, and tone assignment. Uh-oh, I did something bad. I think I moved this to week 2 for some reason. Yeah, definitely. All right. Let's take a look at the chapter, word choice, and tone assignment right here. Basically the same format as the 10th grade, only for Animal Farm. So it says, this week we're going to begin reading Animal Farm. To do so, use the PDF attached to the assignment. Read chapters 1 through 3 of Animal Farm. That's step 1. Step 2, as you read, fill out the tables below. There will be one table for each chapter. So chapter 1, word choice and tone table. Basically the exact same thing, only since there's 3 chapters, I gave you guys 2 phrases to find instead of 3. But the same basic idea. In the top box, or the first box here, you pick a phrase from the chapter you think is important to the meaning of the chapter and the tone of the chapter. Then in this box, you analyze what you think the phrase means in importance to the chapter. Basically explain why you chose the phrase and why it's important. And this third box, write and explain the tone of each phrase using an academic tone word from the following list, which is a different list. This is a strictly 9th grade list for you guys. So that's where it's a little different from the 10th grade. All right. So I give you an example here. Once again, I just found that first sentence. Mr. Jones of the Manor Farm had locked the hen houses for the night, but was too drunk to remember to shut the pop holes. And then I explain it here. So I say, this sets the tone. Oh, sorry, this is annoying. All right. I'm write the analysis. This sets the setting for the book while also showing the sloppy incompetence of the farmers, suggesting the animals might be better off if they took care of themselves. And then I picked a tone from that list, cynical, and I explained it. The tone is cynical because right away the author is questioning the goodness of Mr. Jones, the farmer, and we as readers are expected to believe that, in fact, the animals would be better off by themselves. So I just gave you phrase 1 and 2 here, your analysis, and explain your tone. Same thing for chapter 2, give me 2 of those, and chapter 3, give me 2 of those. And then once those tables are all filled in, go ahead and turn that document in and you'll be done for the week. And always make sure your work is not highlighted. That's why in each one. So you're finding 6 phrases, English 9 of that work to complete. And that is your English assignments. Now, of course, English, you have your narrative due tonight. A lot of you have done it already. And then English 10, you have your project that is due tonight as well. So let me go to those and let me pick one and I'll read it and just give us an idea of what it might look like. Again, so we've got about 33 turned in and we still have plenty of time to do it. Let me just choose a random one here. Let's go to one that's not too long. Let's try this one. All right. It's a water break. Okay. Make sure that you have your story in MLA format. You do not want to forget that. All right. Here is a story called Move On Corona, and the moo is in parentheses, as in a cow, I believe. All right, here's the story. I woke up on the early morning on the farm and walked out to all my friends who looked like they were having a heated argument. As I got closer, I heard, "What do you think is going to happen? And what's boss going to do?" I asked them what's going on, and everyone started yelling out. The two sheep and the dog, could be very loud. I mooed to get their attention and asked them to slow down. Doc spoke first and let out a whine about how his owner was packing this morning, and on the news they keep talking about a deadly virus. The sheep then spoke about how they heard the whole family was headed out to the old people's place. After hearing all this, there was only one thing to say: total farm takeover. As soon as we saw the coast was clear, we had Doc go around the back door and let us in. I had always wanted to go in their house, but they never let me in, being a cow and all. Meep and Sleep went straight for the place with all the food, because they are always hungry. I took a seat on the couch and watched TV with Doc. We both sighed and said, "Ah, the good life." For the rest of that week, we lived like kings without a worry in the world. We had pillow fights, played in the pool, accidentally broke the trampoline, and scared a couple of mailmen. The fun was endless, and the days started melting away. Eventually, the TV was boring, the pool was no fun, and all we did was sleep all day. All I did anymore was longingly look out the window and think about the simple days. It was quite depressing. Doc called upon a meeting and told everyone to meet in the living room ASAP. When we got there, he was standing on the table looking very sad. After we all agreed we missed boss, he said he had a plan to bring him back. After a very dramatic pause, he said that we are going to go over to the neighbor's house and make a mess, so they had to call the farmer to come back and take care of his animals. The plan, I had to agree, was flawless. After partially cleaning up the house, we went through with the master plan. We got to the neighbors, and the lambs started eating their plants. The dog chased the chickens around, and I went to stand on their door to moo. Soon enough, the old lady came out and tried to shoo us away with no luck. We then heard her pick up the phone and start screaming. That was our cue to run back home. We went back to the barn, and Doc went to the porch, waiting for the family's arrival. Sure enough, when we woke up the next morning, there was the family. They were incredibly pissed off about the damage we had done, but in our defense, they did abandon us. We had a bunch of fun because of this virus thing, but we also got very down. It's sometimes good to have a simple life and live life as a cow. I know that the sheep and Doc could agree. The freedom was good until it turned into boredom. It was good to have life go back to normal with the family back, and I will never take it for granted again. The end. So you see, simple little story there. I really liked the fact that it wasn't that big of a deal, right? They were having a good time, but the emphasis here was on boredom, which I liked. So there's clearly a moral there, and there's clearly something for everyone to learn. So good job on that story, and I hope the rest of you turn yours in tonight. That's going to leave me with the rest of the week to be kind of reading through some of your stories, giving you a little bit of feedback if you want it. If you don't want it, I'll just give you the grade, but I always ask if you want that feedback to save us all a little bit of time during this quarantine time. All right. We've got a little bit of a question coming in from a student on email, and it says, "Hey, Mr. Phillips, hope all's well and quarantine isn't too bad. I had a question on the narrative assignment. Do you want us to write in the perspective of a character on our story? For example, in my story, one of the main animals is a horse. So I could tell the story from his point of view. That is a great question. Let me write in there. It says, do you want us to write in the perspective of a character on our story? And Mr. Phillips says that is totally fine. Yeah, if you want to do a first-person narration or you want to do an omniscient narration, that is totally your choice. I'm very happy with either. I've seen the style of both, so students have submitted both kinds of assignments. So really, either way is good with me. It just depends on what kind of story works best for you and your characters. If you want the horse to be the driving factor and the driving kind of personality, and you think, hey, I want this horse to tell it from his point of view, like the story I just read was from a cow from their point of view, absolutely. Do it from whatever point of view works best. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, hi. Thanks for the email. You can write from any perspective that you think would make a great story. All right. Simple enough. Sincerely, Mr. Phillips. Oh man, I gotta retype it. There we go. Thanks for email. You can write from A. So you think we make a great story. Boom. Done. Let's get our first sound effect here. I forgot about my sound effects sometimes. Nice. Thank you very much for that question. Hopefully that helps you get it turned in on time. Other things that I kind of noticed, make sure your MLA format is good. I will be kind of just noticing that. Like, don't forget double spacing. The story should be 600 words minimum. So you can go over that. Just at least try to get to that 600 mark. That's going to be really, really clutch for you. Also, when we're done with this stream, we will... oh, good. She says, thank you very much. You're welcome. We will be transferring over to the class meet link. So if you want to kind of talk to me a little more on the face-to-face basis, get a little talk back that way, that's where we'll be at the end of this stream. So I hope that, one, I've made it really, really clear exactly the whole thing that is due this week, both for English 9 and English 10. And I hope that it's not too much work, but I hope you're still able to spend some time reading, spend some time in thought about the beginning of each book. Both of them are totally different. Animal Farm, as I kind of have hinted at, is going to be about, obviously, animals taking control of the farm. Now, this is pretty a fantastic plot line because they can talk, and you'll see some of the things that normal animals definitely cannot do, like they start singing in the first chapter. But as we kind of talk about next week, once everyone's read the first 3 chapters, we'll talk a little more about the background of the book, why it's written the way it is, some of the metaphors, or, you know, some of the symbolism of Animal Farm that George Orwell would have kind of wanted us to think about as we read. So that's for my English 9. English 10 of Mice and Men. that story is probably considered a classic. We've got John Steinbeck here with Salinas County, which, if we're in the Central Coast, is really not that far away, which is classic Steinbeck writing. But we have totally different point of view on life and characters and what's right and wrong, things like that. So we'll definitely have discussions about both beginnings of the books when we come to week 5, which is next week. I'll kind of have a chapter 1 reflection or a chapters 1 through 3 reflection to add to your next reading. So we're kind of starting kind of low and slow for this week so we can really get used to the novel, and then we'll talk more about that each novel, Animal Farm and Of Mice and Men, together as we continue next week. All right. Let me double check my ATQ forms if there's any questions there. Looks like it's pretty clear, which is good. That means, Mondays normally get pretty slow around here, and that's just what it is, Let's give it another minute or so. There you go. That is the end of our stream today. No more questions to answer. I have nothing else to say other than thank you for continuing to turn in your homework. Thank you for reaching out in the emails. Thank you for joining the live streams. Thank you for joining the Google Meets. English 10, we will have our class hangout time Wednesday at 3:30. So the only thing I'm changing is English 9 gets Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, since I have 5 classes. So most of the days will be English 9 at 3:30. But English 10, your day is Wednesday at 3:30. I'll probably just ask a quick question in the assignment so that we all know, hey, this is the time for English 10 to do the class meet, because last time we only had a couple people. I think it was because it was pretty early in the morning. 10:30 is not that early, but I had a couple people who came at the end because they were just waking up. And since I want to see more of you instead of see less of you, then we're going to do that. We are going to English 10 Wednesday at 3:30. So that means English 9, you miss out on that Wednesday, but you get the rest of the week. So we're going to transition now from me being live on YouTube to live on the Google Meet link. So if you're watching any 9th grade students, go ahead, click over to the Meet link, and I will see you there to answer your questions and just be available to chat if you find that you would like to talk to someone today, which we all can kind of use a little bit. We can all be a little bit lonely sometimes when we're working by ourselves, when we're used to working with a desk partner or a teacher right next to us. I'm feeling it. It's okay if you're feeling it, because this is kind of where we are at. I would love to talk to you, so I will see you at the Google link when we get there. All right, that means it's time to go. I will see you guys next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.